You don't mind? We see them all set.
Mic check 1 2 1 2. What is going on, y'all? I know it's been a minute. It's been a minute for a good reason too. What the hell have we been talking? What the hell is there to talk about? But what's going on, everybody? I decided I feel like talking tonight. I'm watching these conference championships. Uh, what is going on here? My bad. Ain't been on the computer in a long time. The computer just doing what it want to do. What is going on, Florida State family? Seminole Nation in the 863 tribe. It's your boy POLK, a.k.a. a.k.a. the Gat. Dom. Truth. There's some Noles after dark. We got some conference championship games. I'm looking at this Indiana-Ohio State game. Fairly entertaining. Indiana's a good coach football team. I have not looked or glanced at the ACC championship because I don't care to look at Duke and Virginia. That's the ACC championship. I'm not paying attention to that. I'm sure Miami fans are watching that one closely. Miami fans should be feeling pretty good about their chances right now. Excuse me. When it comes to this getting into the playoff. Bama got whooped. BYU got whooped. So that's looking good for Miami right now. So if you're a Miami fan, you should feel fairly confident. Then again, if it's this committee that you have no clue what these people may end up doing. Because I've always said the committee makes things up as they go. But as far as Florida State football goes, guys, we just had an early signing period, which I did not care to cover. But shout out to all the new Seminoles that had decided to sign their sign their college football future into the hands of Florida State. Good luck to you all. Hopefully, you guys can come in here and make an impact to a program that desperately needs it. So shout out to all the tribe of what is this? It should be tribe 26. Shout out to you guys. We had a DB coach get fired, which we are going to talk about. What else? What else am I missing? Thomas Castellanos. If there's a God, he hates Florida State, but at least he listened to the prayers on this one. Thomas Castellanos got his waiver denied, so we don't have to worry about that next year. What else? Am I missing something? Come on. What's going on, chat? Tell me what I'm missing. Matter of fact, let's go. Matter of fact, it's been so long. I haven't talked to y'all, haven't seen y'all. Again, I just haven't had the energy to cover what is a shit show program. But good to see y'all in the chat. So get in the chat. Y'all know what to do. Hit the like button. Get in that chat. Get in the comments. Let's do a quick roll call so we can holler out all the people that's in here with us on this Saturday conference championship weekend. Ohio State is only up 10-6 on Indiana. I think, man, the thing about it is when you watch this game, Ohio State is obviously the more talented team. But, man, Indiana's – they're not there yet talent-wise, but they might be the best coach team in the country. And they're underrated talent-wise at certain positions. Specifically, I think that defensive front is very good in Indiana. Very good. And again, I'm not paying attention to the ACC championship, so I could care less what happened in that game. I think Duke is up 14-7. Again, I'm not paying attention. All right, let's hit up this comments and see what we got from y'all. Let's see who's in here with your boy. Black Seminole, Pistino, Mr. Wolf, Jose, Tyler, One Sports, Joe Johnson, New King, John Shield, T-Town, Pork and Bean 305, Antoine's in the building. Priscilla's in the building. Always good to see the regulars. Kane Zay is in the building. Vontae is in the building. Chris the Tech. Marcus Lewis. And Nostalgia. Tegan. And 80s Babe. What's good? What's this? One second. Hey, Dang Bay, what's good? All right. Where do y'all want to start? I feel like talking KCD was good. I feel like talking. So just let me know where do y'all want to start tonight? Y'all want to start with National Signing Day, where I'm not covering all these players. What do you think about the overall class? Do we want to start with Coach Surtain, the former DB coach? Do we want to start with? I don't know. I'll let y'all decide. Anybody, just get in chat. Where do we want to start? And again, hit the like button for me. Share the video. Again, I know it's been so long since I've gone live that just might not be people that know I'm live. So go ahead and share it. Just tell me. I watched 3 or 4 tapes and gave up. Where do we want to start? I'll let you guys decide. Marcus is saying Pat. All in favor of Pat Surtain as the number one topic tonight, say aye. FSU sure does fire brothers real fast. Yeah, they kind of do. As it played out over the years, Surtain reminded me of Atkins. Let's start with Surtain. So, there's a couple things that I'm going to say to start the conversation. For one, I don't necessarily agree with this. I understand kind of where you're coming from, nostalgia with that one. Nostalgia. The difference is at least Surtain got a guy to the NFL, right? You can't say that about Atkins. Pat got more out of his guy, and we're gonna talk about it. But if we're comparing those two, not one, and we've gone over this many times, but not one offensive lineman that Alex Atkins recruited, not only did they ever give you any consistent snaps, they all left the program. And right, you can't say that about Coach Surtain. Or not only that, Surtain was never the defensive coordinator. So as far as he goes, and that's true, Marcus, right? You got Ronaldo Green, AZ, like a couple of NFL DBs, right? As more than you can say about Jarian, if you want to put, yeah, you can put Jarian in that mix. So you got at least 3 NFL DBs that he coached, along with Marcus Woodson or Coach Woodson, right? But Alex Atkins doesn't have one offensive lineman to speak of, right? At least not that I can think of. And I do believe he was the best recruiter. I think the change in defensive scheme didn't do him any justice. Now, am I in an uproar over the Coach Surtain firing? Not necessarily. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like do I think he was the best recruiter? Yes. Do I think he did an amazing, phenomenal job? No. There's certain, and again, this kind of goes to the overall recruiting of Mike Norvell. But Charles Lester was like a big recruiting battle that you won. Colorado came in hot and heavy for that one, and he was a high blue chip, and you're not getting anything out of that. Rawls is probably an NFL guy. Now, a lot of that has to do with Coach Surtain, right? So you can look at Pat's position group really compared to any other position group on the team and go, wait, that probably was the best group, even though it did leave a lot to be desired. Why didn't we get to see more of the Kai Bates of the world, the Charles Lesters of the world, and some of these other guys? But you also got to see true freshmen make impacts like Arnaud. Ashlyn Barker made strides from where he was to where he was this year. Earl Little even showed some improvement. Q couldn't stay healthy, but it's like when he was on the field, he wasn't terrible. So we can kind of dig into the weeds here on that position group. In my opinion, that position group probably, it's one of the better position groups on the team. I wouldn't call it the best, but it's one of the better ones. And again, he also ended up getting players to the NFL. Again, I'm not in an uproar about his firing. What I am in an uproar about, if you wanted to fire Patrick Surtain, I'm cool with that. If it came down to it and you talked to Tony White and just the way he coached his DBs didn't quite mix with what Tony White does defensively, that makes sense to me to let him go. Here's my problem. Yeah, and if Tony White wants to bring in his guy, again, to me that makes sense because it does seem, if you want to talk about this year specifically, our DBs couldn't play the zone. And that's right. They played man under Fuller, came to Tony White, and they just couldn't adjust to the scheme. And White needs his guy or a guy that, and all of that makes sense. But how the hell is he the first guy in the offseason to get on the chopping block? That is my problem. My problem flat out is you want to fire him, fire him. As far as I'm concerned, the last 2 seasons, 2-10 and 5-7, anybody is up. Their job is on the line as far as I'm concerned. Nobody's job is safe, including Coach Surtain. My problem is, how in the blue hell is he the first guy on the chopping block when Tony Tokarz can't coach a quarterback? I don't know how he's how is his position quarterback coach? Tony Tokarz. What does he do he gets a check to do what? What does Tony Tokarz do? Tony Tokarz has been with Mike Norvell since the beginning, coaching these quarterbacks. Somebody explain to me the one quarterback that they did anything with, not named Jordan Travis, who they inherited. Tony Tokarz, he don't recruit well, and he don't develop well. And he obviously can't evaluate talent well. How is he not the first person on the chopping block? Coach John Papuchis was the DN coach. Now he's the linebacker coach. That linebacker unit probably the most disappointing unit on the entire team. If I had to, linebackers have not gotten any better. Now we can blame whoever we want to blame. Randy Shannon ain't here no more. Okay, linebackers suck. Have sucked for years. Granted, he's not necessarily responsible for all of the years for the linebacker sucking. Well, you know what he is responsible for all the years? Special teams. Man's been the special teams coach forever. And the special teams suck. And they were atrocious this year. Couldn't field punts, couldn't kick field goals. When was the last time FSU blocked a punt? Blocked a field goal? So somebody tell me, how is Coach Surtain the first guy on the chopping block? And not these other two guys. Just for starters. Anybody got an answer for that? I'm just curious. Let me go to chat. So I've heard this, and that does there is truth to that. So some of these guys, including the two that I'm talking about, their contracts allegedly end in February, if I'm not mistaken. So ultimately, why fire them and having to pay them? Well, I'm not even sure there would be a buyout because what money would you owe them for? It's December, 2 months. I understand that you can just do a clean break and not fire them. Here's my problem is, again, I'm not sure what money is still owed firing a guy 2 months ahead of time. Right? That's my first problem. And two, so you want to do right by them and I guess not embarrass them by firing them. But to me, it just sends like the message of like this shit is acceptable. That's really, this shit is acceptable, apparently. How much of a statement is it to say you're fired? I don't know. But maybe it's okay. I mean, you didn't hesitate to fire, again, the guy who's probably recruited better than any other position coach on your team. But obviously Mike Norvell and company, they don't care about recruiting. Anyway, but yes, Dre, go get that for me. But yes, absolutely right. Apparently, allegedly, their contracts do end in February, so it could simply be just like a clean break. Joe says, I also think we get caught up in if a coach sends players to the NFL, which is valued to a degree. Hold on. But you people need to consider if they improve players, even if they didn't make the league. Well, I think when we talk about players, well, it used to be this. NIL and certain other things has changed the landscape and what players necessarily care about in college football. But ultimately, what coaches used to sell in recruiting was, hey, you can play for me. I get you to make millions of dollars. Right? That used to be the pitch, the sales pitch. Nowadays, it is, kids are making not millions of dollars in college. Maybe in totality, they, whatever, but they're making, more than what the average American makes yearly on their 9 to 5, right? Getting players to the NFL still is and should be important. Lester looks lost. Every time I've seen number 4 on the field, he looks lost to me. So you're absolutely right. And yeah, I do agree, BG. I think Tony White wanted his own guy. Um, so you're, at some point, man, though, like on-field results got to matter, but obviously they don't matter because your head coach who can't win ACC games, who can't win road games in 2 years, he's still the head coach. So the results obviously don't matter. So that's fair enough. Tony is the worst coach on staff. Think so? Tony Tokars or Tony White? I think Tokars is the worst coach on the staff, and I don't even really necessarily think it's close. If I can only evaluate you off of your position and what that position has produced, as yours, then Tony is by far the worst coach on the staff. Nostalgia. So some of these reports on the offensive side of the ball got most of the money. Maybe they're going to let Tony make some decisions this offseason. Thank you. I'm just catching up on the comments before we move on. Antoine says, exactly. A coach that can't read his own roster. He brought in White and set Pat up and the DBs up. Yeah. But Mike's that again, that is what Mike Norvell has done. He couldn't read his own roster, you know. Just check out the way they use guys like Chroma, running back rotations late in the I mean, we can go on and on. So we started off with Pat, and again, I'm not going to sit here and do a pity party for Pat Surtain. He's going to find a job. He might go back to the NFL. I think that Southern Miss job is opened up. Not saying he'll be the head coach, but he could be like the D coordinator at Southern Miss. That's his alma mater. He might take some FSU guys with him. Pat'll get to his, you know, he'll find his feet. Pat Surtain will be fine. And I don't have a problem. Again, I really don't have a problem with realigning the entire staff. I'm just, why are we still holding on to certain guys? If you're gonna start firing guys, let's start firing guys. You feel me? Like let's start firing guys. Because again, I'm looking at my quarterback position in FSU the last 2 years. It has DJ Uiagalelei and Thomas Castellanos. I'm gonna say that again. Last 2 years at quarterback, FSU has had DJ Uiagalelei and Thomas Castellanos. In 6 years, now going on 7, not one high school recruit that Mike Norvell has recruited at a high school at the quarterback position has stayed on the roster for 4 years. Whether that's Tate Rodemaker, Chubba Purdy, AJ Duffy. Brock Glenn's still around. Shout out to him. We'll see if he leaves this offseason or not. Kevin Sperry's around. People are calling. I can't even believe, if you're not on the FSU Twitter, people are calling for this man to be the starter. People want Kevin Sperry to start next year. God help us. This is not a knock on Kevin Sperry. But come on. I'm convinced Florida State fans no longer want to win. They just, I don't know what they want. But they want Kevin Sperry as the starter next year. Absolutely diabolical. Yeah, I don't know how Tony Tokars is I just don't get it. I don't understand how that man is the coach still. How does he still have a job? I can't, man. I can't understand it. Hold on, I saw a comment that I wanted to get to. Because this has also been a big time conversation on social media. Right here, this is a comment. Man, I love the shit talking from Crow. Love seeing there's actually a coach who cares about FSU success, even though he's not at FSU. Yeah, so Antonio Cromartie has been very vocal on social media about what's going on at Florida State, and he has every right to be vocal. I hope he stays far away from FSU because these former players that we all grow up loving and all that stuff. First of all, he will never coach under Mike Norvell. That's not going to happen. I don't. I don't know if I don't want to say burning bridges because I don't know if there was ever a bridge there to burn, but they don't have a relationship where Crow would come in. The reason I say I hope he stays far away from Florida State, even after Mike Norvell, because when it doesn't, when it doesn't turn out, people go to hating, man, and the quickest way for your idols to become your rivals is be the coach of a terrible unit. You feel me? Um, yeah, but Antonio Cromartie's been very vocal. We saw Perry in garbage time, and yeah, everybody wants Sperry now. Ain't Crow a hypocrite? He sent his son to FSU. Well, maybe his mother, who's also a FSU alum, sent her son to FSU. Maybe that young man was able to make his own decision and go to FSU. So I wouldn't call it a hypocrite. I would say maybe he allowed that young man to make his own decision. You feel me? Um, so, and I don't think that son. I don't want to speak to their. Everybody knows like Crow has like a bunch of kids, so I don't necessarily want to speak on that household. I don't think that son lives with him. So there's probably again more so his mother doing that. But regardless of if his son being at FSU or not, maybe the young man was able to make his own decision. I know that's uh, maybe a rare thing in today's college football landscape. Right. Crow's got like 30 kids. So what? I agree with you. That's just going to be one of many of the next Crow Martys coming up in football. So maybe the young man made his own decision. Not a big deal, in my opinion. Exactly. Exactly. So there's been some names. Somebody mentioned in the chat already. The UCF DB coach. I think that's Tim Harris's brother. There's been TJ Rushing has been a name that's been rumored. If you don't remember, that was Mike Norvell's original DB hire, and Jimbo Fisher actually stole TJ Rushing at the last minute and got him to Texas A&M. Um, if you don't recall that, but that was Mike Norvell's original DB coach, TJ Rushing. I don't know where he is or where he's coaching right now, but that is another name that has popped up. We'll see what happens with the DB room. Tyler says, if it was the plan to start Sperry next year, then why in the world were we constantly trotting Brock out there all year? Oh, well, what's the point of complaining? I think they wanted to save the red shirt. Is that good or bad? We could probably debate on saving the red shirt or not. You can make the case, well, if you're going to start him, let him go out there. But I think they were trying to save the red shirt. I think they were trying to make a bowl game down the stretch. I do think they were trying to actually get to 6 wins. I do think they wanted to make that bowl game. That's another reason why you're probably not putting Sperry out there and putting Brock out there. So there's a couple reasons I could see why they did that. You're not going to win. I agree. I completely agree on that. I agree with that too. We're a women's soccer program, women's soccer national title game. Everybody talking about that. I'm not saying by his tongue, but Crow knew that S wasn't right. We don't need another DB. coach. Just let the coach from Nebraska that came with Tony take over the secondary at this point. TJ's at Auburn, which would make sense why his name would be rumored because, of course, we all know that Hugh Freeze got fired. So that would mean Rush probably doesn't have a job right now. Stewart, you're talking about. I don't know. Yeah, you could let him just coach the entire secondary. Definitely possible. Definitely possible. Coach Yak is another coach that is being anticipated to leave. Now he hasn't been fired, but it's rumored that Arkansas is looking to hire him. And if I'm Coach Yak, I probably would be on the first thing out of Tallahassee. So that would probably be a good move for him. Jalen says, in your opinion, what DB transferred out after Pat? Rawls is the biggest name right now. Right as we speak right now. And I'm about to fuck up some noodles. But as we speak right now, there are rumors, and you can take all the rumors with a grain of salt. 1 second. There are rumors that not only that Rawls is being offered like $1 million to go somewhere. I don't know where that is, but that is the rumor. We'll see how that plays out in real time. Thank you. As I always say when it comes to rumors, take those rumors with grains of salt. Because if you haven't learned anything over the last few years when it comes to Florida State and when it comes to the people who claim to know shit, nobody knows anything. Nobody knows a damn thing. So take those rumors with a grain of salt. But we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. But Rawls is the first name that has popped up, which would make sense. If I'm Rawls, I mean that guy got me. Rawls, I'm on the record of not believing Rawls was going to be good. I just didn't believe it, and he proved me wrong. Jabril Rawls was your best cover corner. Came and played the run extremely well. Rawls was doing it all. Played very well, and I didn't believe it. I thought if Rawls was your best DB, that you were in trouble. Now, technically, you could say that you were in trouble, but a lot of that had to do with the lack of pass rush. That defense had a lot of problems, right? 1 second, I don't want y'all to hear me chew in your ear. Yeah, so that Rawls is probably the first one, if I had to guess. The entire fan base wants Mike gone. Nobody in charge seemed to care. Hard not to be apathetic. Oh yeah, for sure. Stoops ain't go coach them to this bum. No. First of all, I keep saying this about Mark. That time is past. I hate to say it. Mark Stoops should have been the hire 6 years ago. Mark Stoops should have been the hire 8 years ago. When you initially fired, or when Jimbo left, should have went out and got him then. Then you low key had a mulligan that you got rid of Willie, and instead of going, with Franklin or Stoops, you went with Norvell, and here we are. At this point, if you can't tell by the way Kentucky finished, like there's a reason why he got fired from Kentucky, of all places. Like he's past his prime, guys. I don't know. I understand nostalgia or nostalgia is why you want to bring back Mark Stoops, but that Mark Stoops train is done. I would not. You want to bring him on as in an off field sort of coaching role? I'm cool with that, but definitely not head coach. Okay, Ohio State might blow the second half open, but we'll see. I just think the Mark Stoops thing is over with. Earl probably should give it a shot. Stoops beats UF. Fair. That's fair. Stoops for DC, not Headsy. Again, if you're Mark Stoops, you're not. Why the hell would you coach under Mike Norvell? Like, come on. There's no way I'm coaching under that loser. Not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. So, I let go of that. And plus, Tony White's here. And until I hear Tony White's gone, Tony White's here. And the move of firing Surtain tells me that Tony White's here. He's here. He's not going anywhere. They're not firing him. So, again, you can forget about the Stoops thing. Let Stoops thing go. I just think we need to let that go. We need to get rid of some of these players. We need to get rid of some of these players. So speaking of players, we've already had one player so far hit the transfer portal, which I find very unfortunate personally, and that's LeJesse Harold. I thought that was a guy who redshirted this year, along with Tylen Lee. These were two guys that I thought could have been really – then you pair them with the Desirs. And I think in my opinion, you were building a young, good defensive line core. And now he's in the portal. Good luck to him. We'll see how that pans out for him. But I'm not going to sit here and go crazy about a guy who didn't play for you. But that is a young piece that I feel like – then again, they've never shown to develop much of any talent. So maybe LeJesse Harold's looking at it like, bro, I'm not getting developed here. I have no hope of getting developed here. Let me get the hell up out of here. So, but that is the first guy so far to hit the portal, LeJesse Harold, if you're not tracking. He was a 4-star defensive end. Him and Tylen Lee were considered really good late gets. If you remember last year at that 2-win season, they actually closed out the recruiting cycle fairly decent. And him and Tylen Lee were considered pretty big gets down the stretch. But he's gone. Let's see. It remains to be seen who else may or may not be gone. That's the first guy so far that's hit the portal. Where do we go next? Y'all want to go? Shoot. Y'all want to talk about this recruiting class? We can start talking about the class if y'all want to. Defensive players don't want to tackle. Let me say this. I'm reading this comment. And I stand firm on my belief that scheme is great. But you coach the players in that scheme. The point I'm making is zone. One of the best defenses of all time was the zone. Cover 3 zone at that. The Seattle Seahawks, the Legion of Boom. One of the best defenses we've ever seen. Right? Or you can go down the list of defenses. Like that stuff, in my opinion, whether you're running man or zone, is irrelevant as long as it complements what your players have. If you want to watch a good zone defense, go watch, turn on the Big Ten Conference Championship and watch Indiana. That is a well coached team defensively. You want to know how to play zone as a DB? Watch what they got. And they don't have the recruits that Florida State has, at least in terms of stars, right? So I don't care about man or zone. Get me a system that complements the guys that you have on the team. If you're gonna go away, from that, like we did, well, we got to rebuild the secondary. It just is what it is. I don't care about whether you play zone or man necessarily. The recruiting class was okay for a 5-7 team, I guess. So they finished with the number 14th ranked class. So it's a top 15 class. The issue, and that's really based off the numbers. The issue I have with the class, and let's bring it up. I'm gonna bring it up because probably the major issue I have with the recruiting class um, is who did they recruit? And it remains to be seen. Like a lot of us, or I could talk about myself, I didn't necessarily think the Desir twins were going to be as impactful as they were. But also the guys that we thought were going to be impactful, right? Like Boggs and Chroma. A lot of these guys that we thought would be impactful, Boggs really didn't play for you. Like injuries or not is irrelevant because your best ability is always your availability. So if you can't get on the field, that's not an excuse, right? So Boggs gave you nothing after being called the next Randy Moss all off season. Chroma played, but he had games where he just wasn't on the field. Same thing with Kevin Wynn. A lot of people thought, oh, that kid's going to play for you day one. He had some injuries early on in the season. And then by the end of the season, they just didn't play him. They just felt the need to save a red shirt. So a lot of the guys that we thought were going to contribute as freshmen didn't play for you. And then, the Desir twins, who I thought were being hyped up, the hype actually was real. So when you look at this recruiting class, and I'm going to share the screen, so we're going to talk about it. They did a whole article on it on ESPN. I read it. I think it's a bunch of bullshit. Personally, I think it's a piece to try to save face. I don't believe much of it at all. But that's just my opinion on that one. Let me share. Like I said, I'm gonna share the screen real quick so we can just look at the. There we go. We're just gonna look at the class, and I'm not gonna waste. Well, I ain't got nowhere to go. We can talk about. We can talk about this. Here we go. I don't know if the screen was freezing on y'all, but it was freezing on me as it's skipping. So okay. I don't know what's going on. Is the screen messing up for y'all? Please let me know because it is. No, I don't want to do that. Okay. Yeah. So it's not messing up for y'all, but it's like freezing on and off on my end. So my mistake. But it looks like okay, looks like it's there. Let me go back to the chat real quick. Marcus says you got to hit on the 16 guys. Okay, well, we're going to look at 33 or 32 guys. I think that O'Neal boy is something. We say that about every quarterback. Y'all better stop believing in these quarterbacks that this man evaluates. But I hope O'Neal's great. Don't sleep on this class. And we say that every year. I'm sleeping on it. Snoozing, by the way. Hit the snooze button on this class. But we'll see. All right. So let's look at this class now. So you got Chauncey, Isaiah, Jason. Jason is a guy that everybody loves. A lot of people think he's a baller. 5'10", 165. Earnest rankings. So first and foremost, what I'll say about this class, what I appreciate about the class. Now, that doesn't mean that these guys are going to play much. It doesn't mean that any of these guys are really going to produce for you. But what I appreciate about this class above all else is they at least went and had an identity in this class. I mean, you're looking at what? 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go Indiana. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 defensive linemen. I appreciate that. Pass rush was a problem. They went out there and said, we're going to recruit a bunch of D linemen. Rankings and Whitley are 2 defensive linemen, which could potentially play for you next year. They're the 2 highest rated guys you got. 6'4", 265, 6'6", 265. So they're around the same size. My guess are these are 2 guys that are going to be asked to put on some weight, and they're going to move them inside. Everybody kind of made a big deal about Jaheim Pickney being flipped from USF down the stretch. I'm going to be honest with y'all. If that is a project player at best, in my opinion, 6'5", 217, I've seen the little tape. He's long. He's athletic. But he's 217. It's probably going to take him a while to get on the field. You got Jameis Winston's little brother out there. Shout out to Jameis Winston's little brother. Only 5'9". Jameis Winston was 6'4". Jonah Winston is 5'9". That's unfortunate. Damad Lewis, another 6'4", 245 guy. Another edge guy in Jalen Anderson. Whitney Cadu is sort of your lone, like, almost 300-pounder at 6'5", 295. Cam Brooks was a guy that committed to Cal early on. A lot of people made a big fuss about that. He was a 4-star, went to Cal and dropped in the rankings. Well, he ended up back at Florida State. Some people think he's a sleeper. We'll see what happens there. Chris Carbon, another undersized edged guy. So if you look at the theme, and then Judah Daniels from Fort Myers, 6'3", 265. A lot of undersized guys. Luke Francis, they haven't listed that defensive line. I believe their intention is to play him on O-line. But we'll see. Maybe they stick with him, and that would be your lone, 6'5", 335. There's your replacement for Daryl Jackson. And there's a guy who also can help, give Kevin Wynn a breather, who's also going to serve in that role. So what do you guys think about the D-line? I like the numbers. I'll be honest with you. And again, said this about the Desir twins. Maybe there's a couple guys on this defensive line who emerge. I wouldn't bank on stuff like that happening year in and year out. Again, more times than not. Excuse me. More times than not, especially when we're talking about D linemen. Unless you're a special athlete, it takes a little bit of time to get on that field as a D lineman. What are you guys' thoughts on the D line as I come back over here to the chat? Don't okay. Talk about class. They threw bodies at the problem. Will they be developed? Is the question. Right? They threw bodies at the problem. The good thing about all those new players is based on the game of numbers. One is bound. Yeah. Indiana slot fade man coverage. TD hell. That's all Mike used to call. So the plan is to get 15 3-stars and wish for someone to break out. Yeah, I'm just the messenger, Vontae. Back in the 90s, the Twins would be second string. Hey, 3 to 4 hit on the D line, you good. 3 to 4. That's a crazy number, Marcus. I hear you. You're not wrong in terms of numbers. You're 100% right. Now, 6 years of evidence. When is Mike Norvell hit for 3 to 4 of any position that he's recruited? To ask for 3 to 4 linemen to hit is insane. I don't know if you understand what you're asking. I don't know if you understand what you're asking. 3 to 4. Yeah, you're right. You're good if you hit on 3 to 4. 100% right. Now, is that probable? No. Is it possible? Sure. You brought in 9. Alex Atkins brought in what? 6 offensive linemen and had 0 hit. Out of those 9 that we just went over, we can have a good guess of the guys that are going to be one and done. We just saw Jesse Harold leave after 1 year, like I said, in the transfer portal. Out of those 9, about 4 of them are gone after year 1 because 4 to 5 of them aren't even going to sneak playing time. They're going to be flat out redshirted. You have a lot of undersized guys that aren't going to be able to play. 4 to 5. The other 4, they'll try to play them like they tried to play Kevin Wynn. They'll try to play him. Tylen Lee was a 5-star last year on 3. But he was a 5-star. Didn't sneak in the game. Again, to assume that 3 to 4 are going to hit, put it like this. If you were a betting man, if you gamble, who would gamble on those odds? Who in the chat would gamble, put any type of money, over under 3 to 4, over under 3 of the 9 defensive linemen that FSU recruited in this class to hit next year? Because you're not asking them to hit 4 years down the road. You're asking them to hit next year. Because you just had 2 back-to-back losing seasons. 4 losing seasons out of 6 years. So you're not asking to develop 3 to 4 guys in 3 to 4 years. No, you're asking these guys to hit next year. Anybody want to put money on that? I'm saying, anybody want to put money on the over on that? Because I guarantee you can say what you want to say. Ain't nobody putting their money where their mouth is on that one. Nobody. Anyways, let's keep it moving. Outside of the D line, which again I do appreciate the numbers on the D line. I think you got a pretty good tight end in Xavier Tiller, but again, Tight end. My guess is Landon Thomas might be out of here next year. Because if I'm Landon Thomas and they don't even use me. But you recruited 2 tight ends. If there's one thing Mike Norvell has done since he's been here. He's recruited damn tight ends. I'm sorry, I just got to say it. Mike Norvell and the amount of resources that have been invested in the tight end position over positions like quarterback and offensive line, he should be fired for that alone. The type of money we invest in the tight end position is awesome if tight end position was a game changer, a difference. Tight ends are not game changers, folks. I'm sorry. You would not take a tight end over a premier offensive lineman or quarterback any day. Hell, you wouldn't take a tight end over a premier wide receiver, running back. We can go down the list there. The first offensive lineman, the highest rated offensive lineman you have is what? According to 247, this kid right here, Nikahu Hippe. You got Jacoby Green. This offensive line class is atrocious, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you. Now, that's just based on the stars. What I will say when it comes to O-line, what I like about the O-line, not a lot of guys in this O-line class are undersized. I mean, Steven Pickard, 6'5", 300. Luke Francis, we don't know if he's a D-line or an O-line. I think he's going to be an offensive lineman, but who knows? But he's 335. Michael Iota, 300. Stephen Moore, 320. Jacob Green, 330. So 370 from these other kids. You got some beef to work with. Get these guys, lose some of that bad weight. You might have some stuff to work with. O-line is the one position that I usually don't look at stars. You kind of look at their athletic profile, length, these things. Can they gain good weight? Can they lose the bad weight? You look at all of those things when we're talking about offensive linemen, because that, in my opinion, is the hardest position to evaluate. O-line. So you maybe you got some toys to work with here, but again, nobody that's going to play for you next year. And if there's one major concern outside of quarterback next year, is you're going to lose all 5 of your offensive linemen. Who are you? Who you put on that O-line next year? Or are we portaling another 5? Let's talk this O-line for a hot second. What do y'all think about the O-line? Marcus, bro, I hear you, but with all due respect, where have you been? This is 2025 college football. This is not 2010 college football. This is not 2000 college football. These kids don't stay 3 to 4 years. Very rarely. Every year you have to look at, and that includes high school. Every year you need to look at it as a new year. We are no longer in the age of, well, we can sit a kid for 3 years. That kid's not trying to sit for 3 years. If that was the case with Jesse Harrell, would still be here. These kids aren't trying to sit for 3 to 4 years to get developed and get. No, that's not how this works anymore. Unfortunately, I wish we could sit some of these guys for 2 to 3 years and hope to get enough. It's not how it works anymore. If you're not looking at this year by year with the NIL, it's just that is the nature of college football in 2026 going into 2020, 2025 going into 2026, and so in the future. This is no longer a 3 to 4 year sport. This is a 1 to 2 year sport now. Look what Indiana's done in the span of 2 years. They are up 13-10 on Ohio State, the defending national champions. Now, granted, Ohio State's they're driving right now, right? But Indiana might win the Big Ten this year, and they did that in the span of 2 years. Like that's what it is, man. That's just what it is. We need to hire a QB coach, OC, taking lumps with Jaden or Sperry at QB next year. I'm tired of portal QB failures. So I understand what you're saying. Here's my issue with that. Are we trying to win next year or not, guys? This is my only problem with what you're saying, Ride or Die. I hear what you're saying. And really, that comment goes back to what I was just talking about. Mike Norvell should have did this 3 years. Well, I won't say 3 years ago because you had Jordan Travis. But instead of bringing in, so do you remember what I said after the Jordan Travis era? I said, don't bring in a transfer portal quarterback unless it was Cam Ward. I wanted Cam Ward. But if you weren't going to get Cam, what did I say? Ride with Tate. Ride with Rodemaker. That's the guy that's been with you for 4 years. You brought him in as a freshman. He's shown that he can win some games. Ride with Tate. Not because I thought Tate was a great quarterback, but that's how you were going to prepare for the upcoming years. You ride with Tate. You had Luke Kromenhoek waiting in the wings, who was highly rated. Like, it showed a level of loyalty to the quarterback position that I thought Mike Norvell could afford. And let's be clear, if he had rolled with Tate Rodemaker last year or the year before that and went 2-10, it still would have been 2-10. But nobody would have, like, the fact that you went with DJU and spent whatever you spent for DJU to go 2-10, that's where this whole thing has fallen off the rails. Because not only does it show that you can't develop your own guys and you have no loyalty to your own guys, you can't even evaluate proper quarterbacks out of the transfer portal. So, back to this point. If this was, 3 or 4 year project, I would say, sure, let's ride with some of the freshmen and see what we got. Are we trying to win next year or not? I'm tired of covering this losing ass team. I'm tired. If we're trying to win, they need to go get Indiana went and got one of the best quarterbacks. Oklahoma went and got one of the best quarterbacks out of, go get a quarterback out of the portal. Just get the right one. Stop getting the wrong ones. Yes. Love you too. Stop getting the wrong ones. Go get a proper quarterback out of the portal. That is my problem. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to ride with O'Neal, and I'm not trying to ride with Sperry next year. Herb don't take nothing under 300. O-line class is just size. At some point, kids ain't even going to want a portal FSU. What's up, Pat? Somebody correct me if I'm – and again, I know the committee makes up rules as they go, but I recall the committee saying if you won your conference, it was a guaranteed spot. Anybody else remember that? I feel like I remember that. So there's your O-line class. Again, nothing to be overly excited about, in my humble opinion. Let's move on to our lone running back commit. Why not? Let's just knock this running back commit out of the way right here. That's Amari Thomas. I think Amari was committed to us that one time, decommitted, which was like one of the worst kept secrets in America, that everybody knew he was like decommitting. Committed to South Carolina. And decommitted, and now he's back with Noles. Not a bad player. Not a player that is, that is not somebody you're gonna hype up to the moon. But again, a good signing. I don't think he's a composite 4-star. I know it says 3-star here, but I think he's a composite 4. Look at that. Indiana I thought Ohio State was scoring, and Indiana has the ball. But man, Indiana, y'all, Sig might be the real deal. Well, he is the real deal, not Mike. Sig is the real deal. This man can win a natty at Indiana. That would be insane. Yeah, so talking about the running back, I mean, he's gonna enter a room. I would assume they bring back Sawchuk. Chroma will come back. Hopefully Sam Singleton comes back. Cam Davis got the red shirt, but I could care less if Cam comes back or not. I'll just be honest with you. Those three, Sawchuk, Chroma, and Singleton, it's a solid 3. You add him to the mix. again, that's not a guy that I expect to get anything out of next year, but solid prospect. Let's move on, unless anybody wants to talk about the running back right now. All right, so nobody talking about running backs other than Joe. He's like Cam can go, and I agree. Nothing about Cam. Let's move on to okay. Well, we didn't talk much about. Let's talk about linebackers. So we only signed two. Isaiah Williams, who the number one linebacker in the country. I mean, it's cool to get one of those for once, but I do believe he's coming off of a knee injury, so we'll see how that plays out. But it is good to get a guy who, if you would have asked me, he was going to flip again. That kid flipped all around in his recruitment, but he ended up at Florida State. And at this point, if that guy isn't a day one starter, I don't know. I don't know who is. And then we also got another linebacker in Karen Mayock, who I think Texas was trying to maybe have a late push for that, or I don't know what was going on there. 6'1", 200 out of Miami. He's not rated high. But the fact that I guess a team showed interest, he had offers from Texas and Bama. Matter of fact, if you look at his offer sheet, he had a decent amount of offers. He had offers from A&M, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Missouri, Miami, Florida, Bama, Texas, Florida State. So, and Texas like kind of wanted him down the stretch, from my understanding. Now, I don't know if they pulled out at the last minute because a lot of people thought he was flipping, but he didn't ended up not flipping. So I don't know if that was just him not staying loyal, or maybe Texas kind of came back and said, we're good on that one. Maybe after getting him on campus a couple of times and evaluating that, I'm not sure. But a lot of people like his game. Think he's underrated. I'm so tired of talking about underrated gems at linebacker. But maybe this is one of the few legit underrated gems at linebacker. And you compare him with a 4-star Isaiah Williams, and I don't know, guys. What do you think about the linebacker class? Oh yeah, Noah. Oh yeah. Thank you, Joe. I forgot about the other Lavallee or Lavelle or however you pronounce that last name. His brother's currently he was the North Carolina, excuse me, he was the North Carolina transfer, who everybody hyped up and said he was the best linebacker on the team because he had 9 tackles against UConn. Didn't play a snap for you. Guess he had injuries, which again, your best ability should be availability. So you didn't get anything out of his brother. 6'1", 6'2", 220, Noah, out of Georgia. Again, his brother didn't do nothing for you this year, but he's going to come in. Maybe you get a healthy brother next year with this young man and the 3 linebackers you brought. And like maybe the linebacker room looks better next year. Got to see how that plays out. Definitely got to see how that plays out. Ryder Dice says he's a little excited about the linebackers we got. I think I'm excited that we actually, recruited a legit one in Isaiah. I'm not excited about who his linebacker coach is, though. So until we change that, we need to change who the linebacker coach is. But we'll see. A lot of us thought he would flip, but he ended up signing. We signed 4 linebackers. Daryl Green is a linebacker and Caleb's little brother. Let's go look at that. Daryl Green. Anybody know who do you mean Darrell Bell? Are you talking about this guy right here? Darrell Bell the third, 6 foot, 192. I hope that's not a linebacker, because I don't see a Daryl Green on here. Or did I miss him? Who are we talking about here? Who are you talking about, Marcus? I mean, I'm looking for him. I don't see him. Are you talking about Darrell Bell? Because I don't see a Daryl Green. No, Dalen Green. Okay, I don't see a Dalen Green on here. Is he a walk-on? Okay, y'all. I'm sharing the screen now. We're going down the list of signed letters of intent. Am I tripping? I don't see this player that you're talking about. Maybe 247 just. Oh, there he is. Is that the kid that we flipped from Kentucky? 6'1", 210. Is that the kid? I think that's the kid that they flipped from Kentucky. There he is. Oh, from Arkansas. He's flipped from Arkansas. Okay. Okay. Ranked the 1006. Well, that's par for course. Another linebacker in the thousands. He's nationally ranked 1006. Good God. Okay, so we got we got another linebacker. I thought conference championships was automatic qualifier as well. I agree with you. Not a fan of Anderson. Anderson who? Let's move on to the next. Let's move on to the next position group. Talked about D line, we talked about O line, we talked about backers. We haven't talked about receivers. Let's talk about these receivers real quick. We even talked about tight ends a little bit. Jason Lopez is your highest rated receiver, according to 247. Then you got Devin Carter, Ephraim White, Jameis Winston's little brother, Jonah, Brandon Bennett, and Darian Williams. I'll be honest with you. Don't know much about none of these. The receiving group, you got 5'11", 165. You've got 6 foot 170. You've got 5'9", 155. You got 6'1 and a half, 155, 6 foot 175, and 5'10", 165. Based on the size of some of these guys, I hope that is a very speedy bunch. I'm all for speed. If you're come on, get rid of the ball, Mendoza. Damn. I'm all for speed. If that's what you're telling me they were going for with this class. It looks like you recruited a lot of slot guys, in my opinion. I don't know if you recruited a legit number one receiver, but remains to be seen. We'll see. Yeah, that's what Marcus just said. Wide receiver class is just speed. That's what it looks like. On paper, that's what it looks like to me, too. Lil McCoy will be – I agree. I think Lil McCoy is a beast, but better get a quarterback that can throw him the damn ball. Yeah, but the 14 playoff, that wasn't a criteria that was stated. It never said that a conference – first of all, there was a Power 5 at that point, so we always knew that one of the conference champions would be left out. But when they made the 12 team, if I remember correctly, they specifically stated automatic qualifier was conference champion. Power 4, you automatically qualified if you won your conference. I remember them saying that. But again, the committee changes their mind all the time. It's great speed. Yeah, so I think looking at a lot of slot guys here, wide receiver route. Definitely not as good as a couple of the previous wide receiver classes, but that kind of remains to be seen. You got are we ever going to get anything out of Elijah Moore? I think we have a good young receiving group. I'm not. If I'm Deuce, I don't come back. But even without Deuce, right? I like Lil McCoy. You got to think Boggs should give me something next year. Stay healthy. But this happened, Micah Danzy and Lil McCoy. Those two alone give me hope for the receiving group. If you can get something out of Elijah Moore, And you got some other guys, man, in that receiving. So last year, if you go back and we look real quick at last year's receiving group, they went with a lot of size in last year's class at receiver. Last year at receiver, outside of Javon Boggs, I mean, Tayshawn Gelsey. I know he's listed as a tight end, but I think one of the reasons he came to Florida State was to be a receiver. Tyreek Mallory, 6'5", another receiver. By the way, Gelsey is 6'4". Mallory is 6'5". Jordan Scott, who ended up not playing for you, was 6'7", but he never played for you, so it doesn't matter. Right? But they really went out there and they went with the size in last year's class, and this year it looks like they went with some of the smaller guys. Elijah, if he don't hit the portal this year, then it's going to flat out be do or die for Elijah Moore. You either better, as they say, shit or get off the pot. Lopez is just a Puerto Rican Restrepo. Well, I'll take that. As far as a college receiver goes, I'll take that. Now you need that. If Duke wins tonight, look for JMU and Tulane to make it to the college football playoff. I mean, I won't argue that, but I just remember them saying automatic qualifier was a conference champion. I just remember them saying that. But again, I don't expect the committee to keep their word on anything. I haven't heard anything. I've heard that they're targeting not the Old Dominion. Was it the Old Dominion quarterback? They're targeting one of the quarterbacks that used to play for Florida, and he went somewhere. I don't think it's that. I don't think he played at Old Dominion though. Hold on, let me see something. It could be that quarterback. Marcus Scott, I think, is the quarterback's name, or Stokes, Marcus Stokes. Y'all remember he played at Florida. He actually got kicked off of Florida. Marcus Stokes, he plays at West Florida. That is the guy that I've heard about them targeting. Not anybody from Old Dominion. I'm not saying they're not. That's just I haven't heard it. I really want Indiana to pull this out, man. I really do. Anyways, let's go back to 2026. What position group do we have left? Well, we haven't really talked corners. I think that's about it. I think that's the only, and we haven't really talked quarterback. We'll save quarterback for last, I guess. Corners, your best prospect, Chauncey. Now, awesome. If I'm Chauncey, I'm thinking, who the hell is coaching me? I just signed here, and they done fired the guy that I committed to. Do you think they told Chauncey before he signed that they were going to fire Pat Surtain? I don't. So I'm curious of, not saying he's going to leave, but I'm curious what he feels, and I'm curious who's going to be coaching him. From there, the next corner, well, you got Darryl Bell, safety. Then you got Jordan Crutchfield, 6'3", 200. That's the guy that they flipped from Kentucky. Gotta like his size. Then that's it. As far as it would have been nice to keep Timmons in this class, but you couldn't do that. And I don't know. Hope maybe Chauncey can play for you next year. I don't really expect none of those other guys to be much of a factor. Maybe Chauncey could play for you next year. The one that used the hard R. Yeah, that one. Yeah, that's why he got kicked out of Florida. His stats look awful. Hey, I'm just telling you that's one of the names that's out there. And then finally, of course, O'Neal. He's the quarterback. 6'3", 215. At least he's not 5'5", so that's a plus. Um, the one thing I would say about O'Neal, if he's playing for Gus, I don't have much faith in it. But as the way it's being talked about now, Gus is probably, don't take that for certain. Gus is probably on the outs. If you get get a better offensive minded coach, right? Then maybe you get Gus, or maybe O'Neal gets a better system in place for him. As it stands right now, I'm not so sure. And it's not a guy that I would bank on playing for you next year. Uh, him or Sperry. Let's see here. 2nd and 15. Again, listen, guys. Off topic. If you want to see how zone is supposed to be played, you need to be watching Indiana versus Ohio State. Ohio State has the better athletes, bar none. Ohio State has the guys on the outside that they cannot match up one-on-one. But it doesn't matter. Indiana is coached like a motherfucker. They know how to play. 3rd and 8 right here. Watch this, man. Indiana knows how to play the game. Does Ohio State break play? Sure. They got the superior athlete. But Indiana just knows how to play zone. Look at that. That's a zone, and the quarterback had nothing. You got it. And that's one of the top receivers in the country right there. But look how hard Ohio State had to work for that. Look how hard they had to work for it. And every zone has a hole. That's why the pass rush is so important when it comes to zone. So he eventually found it. But just look, they just had everything covered. And then 10, he comes up, so it leaves that space open, man. But Indiana's playing football, man. Indiana's playing some good ball. And Tate's, that's one of the better receivers in the country. If you want to watch football, you should be watching this game. You really should be watching this game. According to Google, a player can transfer if their position coach gets fired. They play good ball, T-Town. They play good defense. Christians are not doing good things for America and others in football. What? What is this? Christians are the downfall of America in football? That's crazy work. That is insane. This man said Christian. I'm watching Lamont Roach versus Pitt. How's that? I saw your boy got a knockout early on the card. Frank Martin. Man, I hope Indiana or Texas Tech, someone new, can win it all. I feel a little better. Texas Tech, I feel like they have a good team. I just being in that conference, I don't feel like Tech has played anybody. Indiana, I like a lot. Tech, I'm not sold on. Uh-oh. And Indiana played that shit good. What's the flag? Ohio State having to go to this crazy bag. Look at this. Just to get yards. Ohio State's got to go into this crazy bag. And I'm wondering what this flag is. This is either a flag on Indiana for going low, or maybe some type of hold or something on Ohio State. Could be a chop block, personal foul. Got it. Yeah, I saw it. I figured Indiana, that guy went low. That's what they called. Don't blame him. He's like, motherfucker ain't gonna block me. Bow. don't know if that's a flag. He was in front of him. I don't know. I feel like Tech is too small. Yeah, I'm not sold on Tech. Again, I think they're a good team. Don't know if I'm sold on them though. Ohio State having to work hard for this touchdown. Frank dropped a 39-year-old. Fulton's getting pieced up and exposed. Fulton, I've never been a big Fulton guy, so it doesn't really surprise me. But yeah, I saw the Frank knockout. And yeah, I know Laura's a champ. All right, y'all, come on. We're watching this game. I don't think he got it, but it's gonna be 3rd and 1. You watch Indiana and you go, man, they can play the zone. Why can't FSU play zone? Look at that. Wow, that was a hell of a play by 21. Did he hook him? I thought he hooked him. But they didn't call it, so who cares? Yeah, he hooked him. But guess what? The ref ain't call it. He hooked him late, so I actually think that's good defense. And that was man. You saying he missed? Am I behind? He missed the field goal. If he missed his field goal, he shanked it. Wow, he looked like our Weinberg. That looked like our kicker out there. What the hell? Somebody check right now, see where FSU's kicker at, because he might be disguised as an Ohio State kicker. Because that looked just like our guy. That's what our guy be doing. Indiana play. That's what I'm saying. Don't tell me the zone can't work. It can work. Coach it. Coach it. Coach it. So what else do we got? We talked about Sertan. We talked about everything. What else we got? I've only been on for 1 hour and 30. So I feel like we covered a lot. So I can keep going. I'm just chilling. Let my noodles get cold, but I ain't want to eat a full course meal in y'all either. Why didn't we play the other kicker? Who knows, bro? The Fulton fight looks eerily reminiscent of Crawford versus Spence. Fulton has no confidence and nothing is working. Who's Fulton fighting? I don't even know who's fighting. Who's fighting? Can we discuss how Alfred has set up FSU? I think all FSU fans were fine with the extension and raise in 23. No. So I don't know if y'all remember, but I didn't kill the extension in 23, but I was not ecstatic about it for the simple fact Mike had only shown you 2 years. I was like, do the extension after 1 more year. That to me made more sense. So no, I wasn't. And not only that, I never thought personally Bama's really wanted him. Like, I felt FSU to me bid itself out, or outbid itself, or whatever you want to call that. So no, I wasn't fine with the extension. Not to that level. I can understand giving him some type of raise after an undefeated regular season. Um, but again, who is running to hire him at that point? And if you say it's pretty much come out after the fact that Nick Saban handpicked DeBoer. Like they were always going to go with DeBoer, and as good agents do, Sexton used that job search to get Mike Norvell paid. So FSU got bamboozled, really. Um, so yeah, Alfred did his buddy a favor. Yeah, I'm not thrilled with Alfred gets a lot of hate, and rightfully so. Here's what I will say. I am Alfred has done things at Florida State that I do like. I like the investment in facilities, even though some would argue, who cares about that? In today's day and age, you just need to pay the players, and there's some legitimacy to that. But I like the fact that you're showing that you're a modern football program with facilities. I like the modernization of the stadium, all that stuff to give it a real professional type feel. Um, I just it's the loyalty to the coach that just has me bothered with Mike Alfred. When do we get word on the new GM? Well, first of all, Ray hasn't been fired. He hasn't been fired yet. So until they announce his firing, probably don't get word on the new GM. I do assume he'll be fired here shortly. Indiana pulled this off. Their head coach will get 20-year, $400 million deal. He just got an extension this year. Sig already got his raise. Yeah, Sig already got his raise. Let's talk about our GM. Who should we hire? USF hired Derek Brooks as Chief Operating Officer of Football. Is that the same position of GM? It's a great question. So, can I ask a question? And I'm not. I just want to ask a question. When it comes to, here's my problem with the whole GM thing. And again, I'm not gonna argue that Derek Ray should keep his job because he should not. He should be fired. Here's my problem with the whole GM thing and why we're putting so much emphasis on this GM when we should be putting all that attention on Mike Norvell. And I know he's not getting fired, but I don't care. Every time Mike Norvell gets in front of FSU fans, the media, he should just feel this immense weight of heat on him because he should know that we all hate his guts. With that said, what does a college GM do? So it's hard for me to answer your question, ride or die, because I don't know what a college GM does. And I think depending on the school, that GM job does different things. The GM doesn't get paid nearly as much as the head coach. So he's not in charge of the head coach. Does he have the power to hire and fire a coach? Obviously not. Right? Is it just a talent evaluator, or does he just allocate resources to recruit? Like, what does a college GM do? Again, I'm not saying Ray should keep his job, but all this attention on this GM position to me is just another way to take the attention of to where it matters. What does a college GM do? He don't coach on the field, so he's not in charge of any X's and O's or development of talent. Is he strictly in charge of evaluating talent? So is he allowed to recruit players that the coach doesn't want? It's hard for me to answer that, bro. I think at USF, Derek Brooks has a lot more power because he's freaking Derek Brooks and played his entire career in Tampa and won a Super Bowl there. Has a lot more power at USF than the FSU GM would ever dream of having. So I don't think those two positions are apples to apples. I don't know what a GM does. Keeping Mike around is just unforgivable. He's supposed to be the guy that can go to the booster and get the money and make stuff happen. He's failed. That's true. That's true. That that Virginia team, by the way, scored what 40 something points on FSU. Just saying. I feel like they're fixing the front office before canning Mike, or at least I hope that is what's going on. The fact that most FSU fans, including myself, don't have a clue as to what a full responsibility of the GM should tell us that FSU doesn't know how to use a cup. That's what I'm saying. Nostalgia. That's that's my point. What does a college GM do that we're putting so much attention on firing and hiring? Who's the new GM? We got to fire Ray. Okay, but what does that position do? Let's go, Indiana. The Hoosiers about to be Big Ten champs, baby. Let's go, Indiana. I never thought I'd see the day where FSU went 2-10, 5-7 in back-to-back years, and Indiana has won 10-plus games in back-to-back years and is about to have an undefeated regular season. Shout out to the Indiana Hoosiers. That's my new team. 863 Hoosier TV. Let's go. I feel the GM handles NIL money. Well, but see, we know that at Florida State, that is a Mike. We know at Florida State, at least, again, I think that GM position varies across the country. I think depending on the university is what the GM position does. But I think we know at Florida State, NIL is strictly Mike Alford has been out front on what FSU will and won't do when it comes to NIL. And somebody mentioned, I forget who it was that talked about Alford earlier. And there's some things I said I liked and didn't like about Alford. That's one of the things that I despise about Mike Alford is his handling of FSU's NIL. And this fact that he believes that there's this hard cap on NIL and FSU can't supersede it, or some magical committee, the NCAA, is going to do something to it. Yeah, we already know. We weekly we see teams invest more than the allowed NIL cap. But for some reason, FSU wants to play by the rules. So I don't think the GM handles the NIL money personally, but it could. They could. The GM at Texas Tech takes over recruiting responsibilities and talent evaluations, while the head coach is only responsible for game planning. They said it during the BYU game. So that's what I'm saying. So that's at Texas Tech. But we know that's not true at Florida State. So again, what does Florida State's GM do? Because we know for damn sure Mike Norvell is not just responsible for game planning. We know that. And that's kind of weird to say that the GM is responsible for recruiting and talent. So the head coach has no pick of who he coaches? That's kind of weird. It's not how college has been. Interesting. But we know that's not true here. We know Mike Norvell is handpicking his players, right? I'm with it. But yeah, man, 863 Hoosier TV. We in the building. I'm going to ride with the new indie channel. Let's go. I love it. That's how I know. See, I knew y'all loved me for a reason. Y'all ready to ride or die. I'm with it. FSU program has just deflated all of us. We all Indiana Hoosiers fans now. I agree, Terrell. That's the problem, is that this program is confusing. Nobody knows what the hell's going on. We're a joke. And until it gets fixed from the top, we're a joke. Indiana coach. Yeah, Zay. I mean, Sig is the man. Sig is the man. I just love the way Indiana plays ball. The COG made coach speak last year when he was hired, and the man said, all I do is win. Who was the one GM someone recommended that was the former FSU, but was a GM or owner of a? Oh, it's it used to be I think a GM of the Jags. I forget his name. That's been I forget his name, but that's been the one name that I've seen rumored for that position. I forget his name though. Somebody in chat probably knows who we're talking about. So Ray negotiates the NIA deals for players. Him and Mike evaluates high school and Porter talent. Okay. So according to Marcus, Ray determines who gets paid what as far as NIL goes. So Ray determines where that money goes. Him and Mike evaluates high school and portal players. Second and 10, under a minute. Oh, no, not under a minute quite yet. Look at Indiana just playing football, man. I don't even use FSU no more. Nah, that's the only place I use it. That's the only place where I can have some semblance of happiness. So yes. Okay, back to this comment. My camera just decided to go on the fritz. No. College, the game is the only place I use Florida State. I've won 3 national championships in my dynasty with Florida State. So no, that's the only place where I get a little bit of happiness. So I definitely use them on the game. The fact that we all agree this program is confusing further holds the argument we need to fire Alford. The Texas Tech GM sounds like Jerry. Yeah, the Texas Tech situation sounds kind of crazy, but if it's working for him, I can't working for him. But it definitely sounds a little crazy to me. What up, Almighty? Did you ever read that article on Tom Hawk Nation about I told you about? I don't think I checked it out. What was it about again? I might have. I just don't remember. Honestly, Almighty, I just don't remember. Indy able to just run the ball and get yards of some real man football. We ain't seen that in 2 facts. If the GM handles recruiting, what the F is Mike doing? He's working with the GM allegedly. Mike is getting fired, going to feel better. That Mike getting, I'm telling y'all, when Mike Norvell gets fired, guys, we're gonna have party hats. I'm gonna have the little thingies that you have on New Year's and the kazoos or whatever, and the spinners, and I'm gonna have some balloons back here and I'm gonna pop some confetti. It's gonna be a party when we finally can this bastard. Unfortunately, I don't know when that's gonna be, but we're gonna have a party. We're gonna have a celebration. I promise you. I promise you. Do you think we need to let Gus and his 2013 Auburn's offense go? Yeah, let's bye. My problem, the Gus situation is a lot similar to the defense situation. We just don't. It's not as glaring. I think we don't have the personnel for what Gus is trying to do. And if you look at the strength of our offense, at least this past year, it was the wide receiver position, McCoy and Danzy. And unfortunately, we didn't have the quarterback or the passing scheme to utilize that effectively. Now we won't have Deuce next year, I don't believe, but you'll still have those other guys. Hopefully, I think the passing game should be a focal point, not so much the running game. Yeah, I'm tracking. They basically just plucked the guy out of high school. I get it. 3rd and 7. Ohio State has no timeout, so they're going to get the ball back here with about what? If I'm Indiana, I take the penalty on the punt, or do you just snap it with like a second or 2 left on the punt, or do you just let it run down and take the timeout? I might take the penalty. They're obviously, yeah, they're not like they're either going to take the penalty here or they're just going to call the timeout. Oh yeah, Sig. Yeah, that's what I thought. Sig just took. See, Sig is a coach. He's like, Sig. He either did he call? I think he just took the penalty. No, he called the timeout. Okay. So they're going to have what, roughly 20 seconds. Ohio State. This is a good game, y'all. Thank you, POLK. The only person that seemed to have a damn common sense. Gus has got to go, and Tony and Mike. Well, I mean, just the passing. Gus's it just his passing concepts have never been great. And the strength of our offense again was Deuce Robinson and even like Pittman. Like the tight end should have been utilized so much more this year. But we didn't have proper quarterback and proper passing concepts. So personnel does not match the scheme. That's the issue with Florida State on offense and defense. The personnel doesn't match. And I stand on that. Almighty, the article called FSU Financial Reality. Okay, I have read that. I have read that article about FSU's financials. Yes, I've read that. What are you drinking when he gets? Bro, that's a great question. I don't know what I'm gonna drink. I feel like they should have, because they're so close, they should have took the penalty and went back an extra 5 yards. Maybe you could have got them inside the 10, but still a good punt at the 15, 18 seconds to go, what, 85 yards? Right? You think Gus retires this offseason? He needs to do something. He needs to get the hell out of Tallahassee. I don't care if he retires, goes somewhere else, just need to get the hell out of here. Even if FSU goes undefeated and wins the Natty next year, it won't feel like 2013. Norvell has ruined my fandom. Mike ain't doing that, but I hear you. Off topic. Did you see the Auburn is claim? I did see that, and they're a joke. But college football has become a joke entirely. Looks like Duke is going to beat Virginia. Yep. What's up, Tony? All right, man. Indiana about to win the damn. Shout out to Indiana, man. Shout out to the Hoosiers. For real. They better try to put that ball in one of these wide receivers' hands, and I don't know. Ohio State don't have a lot of options here, so I'm not sure what you do other than throw a prayer up to Jeremiah or Tate and hope that they make some. It was almost intercepted. Ohio State still got the Ennis didn't catch that, did he? No, he didn't catch that. Almost was picked by 12. No, he didn't care. All right. Shout out. And man, Sig done won the Big Ten in 2 years. Shout out to that dude, man. And we hired Mike Norvell. Goddamn. I also saw they might put us in a bowl game. I think was it Kansas or Kansas? Some team they denied their bowl game. I think it was Kansas or something. I don't know. Jeremiah caught it. He caught it on the tip, but it didn't matter. Shout out Jeremiah. He actually caught it. Yes, Indiana is for real. That's what I'm trying to tell people. Indiana's for real, man. Indiana just won the Big Ten. Never in my life I thought I'd say those words. That is crazy. Indiana just went toe-to-toe with OSU. Duke is going to the college football playoff. I don't think so. There's a lot of conversation whether Duke gets in or not. I remember the committee said that the winner of the Power Four got an automatic bid. So we'll see. We'll see. That Duke thing is going to be super interesting. That Duke thing is going to be really interesting. Indiana's the number one team in the country, and really they kind of have been all year. I agree. 304. We don't 340. Island Boy. By the way, I don't disagree. We don't deserve a bowl game. So I've been hearing this BS about us not having money to fire Mike. So you missed out on Stein, Franklin, Jimbo, etc. But yet they're saying we had the money to snub Kiffin from LSU. I already told you that LSU that Alfred piece from ESPN is trash. I do think they had the money if they wanted to. I also think that they have money tied up in a lot of situations, so I understand why you kind of got to bite the bullet. At the end of the day, Mike Norvell should be fired. I don't care. They changed it this year to give the top 4 ranked teams a bye. The top 4 ranked teams have always had a bye. Top 4 ranked teams have always had a bye. Just winning your conference doesn't give you a top 4 ranking. The top 4 teams have always had the bye. Look at last year. 2 ACC teams got in. I think Clemson won the conference, but they didn't have a bye. They didn't have a Clemson didn't have the bye. So the top 4 teams have always had the bye. I don't think that is not what changed. Yes, we know. We understand we are stuck with Mike. At least for next year. I agree with you. I think we're stuck with Mike until 27. I actually agree with that. So yeah, you're preaching to the choir. Thank you. Not telling me nothing I don't know. Duke really about to beat UVA. Yeah. We should get in just because we were the best AC team, in my opinion. Really common sense. Even if I agree with you, Zay, which I think I do agree with you, you gotta. We can have a conversation about winning, and winning matters. Winning matters. You didn't win your conference, which is crazy, but you didn't win it. Um, I think if it comes down to, I think if Notre Dame is in, then Miami should be in, and I will stand on that. I will stand on the fact that head to head should matter, and if you are good enough, if the committee thinks Notre Dame is good enough, then Miami deserves to be in the playoff. So I will, and that's not even a Miami thing because I could care less if Miami gets in or not, obviously. But if the conversation is Notre Dame and Miami, then Miami should be in because head to head should matter. I don't care if the head to head is in August or September. I hate that argument. Oh, they played in. So you're trying to tell me that August does. So games weeks 1 through 3 don't matter. So why even play them if that's what we're saying? So I agree. Miami should be in if it comes down to them too. But if the conversation is between, let's say, Miami and BYU, I can make a valid case that you're going to penalize a BYU team that lost to Tech. The only team they lost to was Texas Tech twice and beat everybody else. While Miami's 2 losses are to SMU and what was the other team? I don't even remember. Louisville. BYU. Does BYU have a better resume? I don't know. We can have that conversation. So if it comes out of Notre Dame and Miami, Miami in. Anybody else, we can have a legit conversation about. And ultimately, that's because Miami, you guys decided to lose to 2 bad teams. BYU can make the argument we didn't lose to any bad teams. We just lost to a top 5 team, right? And if this was any other conference, if BYU was in the SEC, they'd be calling BYU's losses amazing. You changed the logo from BYU to, I don't know, Bama, and Bama's only 2 losses was to Georgia. Bama would be in the playoff and it wouldn't even be a conversation. But because it's BYU might get snubbed, but their only 2 losses, again, are to a top 5 football team. But again, if it comes down to Miami Notre Dame, then Miami should be in. I believe in head-to-head. And the committee believes in head-to-head when they want to. Because in 2023, that's why Texas got the nod over Bama. And they should have. If you remember, I never was mad at Texas for getting a nod. Texas went into Tuscaloosa and beat Alabama in prime time. I don't care that Bama beat Georgia. If Bama beat Georgia, awesome. Texas deserved the spot. Bama was the team. It was the SEC, which we know will never happen. SEC was the team that should have got left out of the playoffs in 2023. Period. SEC should have been. So the committee does believe in head-to-head when they want to. He said, "F, they celebrated." It's not about Miami, honestly. I promise you. It's about, for me, it's about college football. It's about the integrity of the game. And there's an argument of, do you want the best teams or do you want the most deserving? I want the most deserving. I don't care about having the best teams because the best teams should win football games. Like, I thought you played sports to determine who the best teams was. So my problem with the whole best teams argument is, oh, Miami's the best team, quote unquote, but they lost to two bad teams. And I'm just using Miami as the example here. Like, stop telling me who the best. What they're really saying is not who the best teams are. Who are the best rosters? Ohio State just had the best roster in this game we just watched in the Big Ten championship. Indiana was the best team. Ohio State had the better roster. That's what I want to watch. I want to watch the best teams win football games. But we have this argument of who's the best roster. And I'm not saying Ohio State should be left out of the playoff. Obviously not. But based on this game alone is the whole point I'm making. These people on ESPN, all these other platforms say the best teams. No, what they mean is the best roster. The best blue chip ratio is what they want to talk about. But the teams get on there, and they're the ones that win football games. You stack Indiana's roster up with some of these SEC teams, and it doesn't match, but it doesn't matter because Indiana just proved they're the best team. Because that's the narrative that continuously gets pushed on these platforms. Roster-wise, that's what they're going to talk about. I want to see Bama because they have one of the best rosters. That's what they really mean. But Bama has proved over and over again they're not the best team or nowhere near it because you lost to Florida State, which right now looks like that is a terrible loss. But again, games in August don't matter. Remember? So I can get on my high horse about that whole conversation. I don't care about the best teams, bro. You determine the best teams by playing football games. That's how the best team is determined. Not because you like this team that has 4 first-round picks on it. I don't care. I don't care if this team has 4 first-round picks. If they don't play the best, they're not the best team. The most deserving teams, in my opinion, get into a playoff. And you deserve it by winning. But that ends my soapbox moment for tonight. Facts. The committee plays out of hypothetical games in their heads rather than looking at. That's what I'm saying, Tyler. If that's the case, then why are we? I don't understand why are we playing games if we're just gonna go. Oh well, I think Notre Dame's better than Miami because they've won X amount of games straight. Let's ignore the fact that they started 0-2. And then let's ignore the fact that they lost to the team that we're trying to put them in. Like that's Indiana had OSU to 10 points. Ryan Day better win it all, or OSU is going to take Indy's coach. They could. Virginia is dinking and dotting their way up the field. Duke about to fumble the game. Ohio getting in. Of course, Ohio State's getting in. Bama should be out. 3 losses, 1. I agree. Bama should not be in the college football playoff. I 100% agree. Miami is the standard of college football. All right. Hold on. Let me put somebody in timeout. You come in here talking crazy shit. Ain't nobody even talking about Miami. Let me put you in timeout. I don't want to hear you. I don't want to hear your mouth anymore. What the man just came in here running his mouth about dumb shit. Holla at you later. James Madison getting the playoffs is crazy but fair. So I don't have an argument for G5 teams, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I think the G5 should separate and do their own playoff. Because I can't make a case for James Madison because they don't play the same. I do think level of competition matters. I do think that matters. Like Miami and Notre Dame, their level of competition is the same. They played like 4 or 5 like opponents. It's the same. As bad as the ACC is, ACC, Big Ten, like these are power, call them Power 5 schools, Power 4 schools for a reason, right? The ACC is definitely not good this year, but we've seen years where the ACC has won it all. But when we start talking about like the James Madisons and stuff, I'm not saying that those programs can't be good. I'm saying it's hard for me to say James Madison deserves a spot over Miami. I don't believe that because James Madison week in and week out isn't playing the same caliber of opponent. So it's hard for me to do that. Hard for me to do that. Who wins the Heisman? Mendoza by default? I mean, could be. That's a good question. Who wins the Heisman? Definitely is a toss-up this year. Put that boy in bad. Man, he just came in here talking crazy. Nobody was even talking to him. He came in here talking reckless. I don't know. And I don't even know that guy. Goodbye. I don't got time for that shit. I let the regulars. I let New King. I let John. I let the regulars come in here and talk trash because they've supported the channel for a long time. So yes, I let John Shields and some of these other guys come in and talk their trash. That's fine. Did anybody ever seen that guy before? I don't know that guy. Get out of here. At least say hi to me first. I don't know you. Do we forget Norvell waited 2 years to get Dustin Hill? Spoiled. Wasn't the playoffs created for underdogs? I think I don't know. Was it? Again, I can't make an argument for the underdog. I do enjoy seeing the underdog. Don't get me wrong. I definitely enjoy seeing the underdog. I don't know if the college football playoff was made for the underdog. March Madness is notorious for the underdog. But the way NIL and stuff is working, even look at college football, look at the high school recruiting rankings and how those have evolved over the past 10 years. There's not a lot of disparity between the number 1 class and the number 10 class like it used to be. Parity is coming, and this football season has shown parity is here in college football. Teams can lose and be beaten on any given Saturday more so. So, but that's mainly within the Power 5. Or I keep saying Power 5, but that's mainly within the Power 4, in my opinion. I feel like the Big 12 should be considered Power 5, but whatever. The point is, it's hard for me to make a case for those other conferences. Tulane, did Duke end up winning? Dustin Hill is coming back to FSU. Do you like the playoff better than the BCS era? I would say as of right now, no. Though I think it has the potential. I thought last year's playoff was very exciting, personally. Ohio State went on an all-time tear that may not ever be replicated. I think if a team like Indiana wins the playoff this year, that makes a case for it. I would say the 14 playoff was a little lackluster, to be honest with you. I like the 12-team playoff more, personally. There still is something about the BCS that I prefer because every week in the BCS mattered, meaning you could not lose a game in the BCS era, right? You definitely couldn't lose more than one game, which made the BCS era very exciting. Whereas we kind of know the goal now is to just get into the playoff. And we also see that the playoff is very corrupt. In this short existence of the playoff, we've seen how corrupt it is. They talk about it every week. You see people lobbying for 9-3. Texas, Sark is getting on here claiming that Texas, and there's people lobbying for a team like Texas, who lost to a 4-8 Florida team. If they don't get into the playoff, it's an all-time. I'm tired of hearing those type of conversations where in the BCS era that didn't exist. You know, this lobbying for 2 and 3 lost teams is kind of ridiculous. But I think the actual playoff is exciting. I think I hate the lead up to the playoff. Bro, you think it was smart for Mike to fire Surtain? We talked about that earlier on, my man. It's not about whether it was smart or not. I don't really care. I just don't understand how he was the first one fired. That's more so my problem. I hope it doesn't change to 16. At some point, I think 12 is a good number. I don't think we need 16 teams. I really don't. Because now we're talking about 4 lost teams getting into a chance. Like, no. I think 12 is a good number. I don't think we need to take it to 16. I'm not sure why 16 teams. I don't understand. I like 12 where it's at. Eight's not a bad number either, but again, we gotta appease everybody. TD UVA. Virginia scored? Everybody saying UVA just scored. Let's flip to that game. It was definitely a touchdown, and he was definitely forced out of bounds, and he established position back in bounds. So because he was forced out, he's allowed to still touch the football. If he ran out on his own, that would have been a penalty, but he was forced out. So good call from the refs, which is a rare thing for me to say about an ACC ref. Well, that's assuming that's an ACC crew. It should be an ACC crew. Hell, it's the ACC championship. I'll be honest with you. I don't really care who wins. I low-key want Virginia to win because 10-2 or 11-2 looks a lot better in the playoff than 7-5 or 8-5. $75 for Cruz versus Roach is insane. Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't pay. That's when I'm not. I wouldn't. That is not $75 is ridiculous. Shout out to you if you're watching it. You better off streaming that. I'm not paying $75 for that. And I like Lamont Roach, but not $75 worth. I wouldn't mind playing games to establish the 12. Isn't that what these conference championship games kind of? That's kind of what the conference championship games are, right? I watch War Chant, and Corey keeps saying we need to get a QB. Like the QB is the only player on the field. We need the whole new. So I agree with Corey. I'm gonna be honest with you, Chief. I getting the right quarterback solves a lot of issues. Again, go watch some of these other programs, man. Go watch Indiana. The proof's in the pudding, right? You don't have to believe me or necessarily believe Corey. There's a reason why teams go out there and invest in quarterbacks. But we don't invest in the quarterback position for some weird reason. We go cheap. We go Thomas Castellanos. We go DJ Uyunglele. You feel me? Quarterbacks solve a lot of problems. Quarterbacks hide a lot of issues if you get a good one, the right one. So I agree. I think FSU needs to go all in on a quarterback this offseason. You look at this year. If we had a decent quarterback with Deuce Robinson and Mekhi Danzey, LeWay McCoy, like we could have did some damage. But we didn't have a good quarterback. Would you take Lenore Sellers? I would only take him, and this might get some slack, but I would take him if Gus is still the offensive coordinator. He's nothing but a bigger TC, which you'd be like, well, you don't like TC. You're right. But he's a bigger TC. So I would take him. I would take him in Gus's system, yes. Now, if Gus is gone, no. He's not a good enough passer, right? Right, champ. FSU gets a real quarterback, we can win some football games. But until we address that quarterback position, we're going to stay where we are. So, again, I agree with Corey. And I would take Sellers in Gus's system. I want to preference that. In Gus's system, I would take Lenore Sellers. This isn't a knock on Bud, but when he gave his preseason predictions, UVA was a definite win. Yeah, you're same here. Same here, Nostalgia. No one expected UVA to be a good team. UVA might go to winning the conference. So, hey, preseason predictions are yeah. But let me finish reading. UVA was a definite win. But Stanford was also a definite win due to all the injuries. And Elliott could be out after the season. That's why you play the games. 100% nostalgia is why you play the games. And that's what I'm saying. But the college football committee would tell you, no. If it was up to college football committee, Clemson would be in the playoff just based off the rosters. But then you play the games, right? So, yes. TC isn't good. No, I'm sorry, Terrell. I get it. I know you're one of them ones that been on TC's train from the jump. He doesn't give you a good enough chance. Go watch the games, bro. Go watch the games. The one thing I'll say about Thomas Castellanos is he plays hard. I'll never take that away from him. That man went out there. He played hard. He's limited. Size-wise, he's limited. Health-wise, he's limited. Passing-wise, he's limited. Game knowledge, he's limited. He's not a good football player. He's not a good quarterback. He's just not a good quarterback. He's a average football player in his total package with the scrambling ability and things he can do. He's average at best. And every year he's played, he's shown that he's average at best. I don't know why we thought he was going to come in here and be Lamar Jackson or something. Just go look at every year he started. He's average at best. He is what he is. We've seen 3 or 4 years of TC, but for some reason people, I don't know. Sellers, he's blind. We saw it with Jay Trav. 6 teams have won 3 titles in 40 years. UGA ended a 40-year title drought in 2021 to make the list. LSU. Who are you, guy? I think that guy that I just kicked out, he went on his burner account and came back. You guys got to get a life, man. You got to get a life. Now I just gotta block you, right? Because you need to get a life, bro. So you're blocked on YouTube. Yeah, you're just blocked, bro. Anyways, let's move on. The guy came back. Y'all saw that? Jit came back and still started talking trash. You gotta get him up out of here. Gotta get that guy up out of here. I ain't got time for that guy. Dude came back on like his burner. That's crazy. The dude actually made a burner to come back on my channel. That's a true fan. I probably shouldn't have blocked him because that's a real fan. You actually create a burner to come talk to little old me, light skinned dude on YouTube, and that is a real fan. That was a real fan. So we rather DJ you. Did I say that? I don't want either one. What, Terrell? Just because you don't like TC doesn't mean this isn't a competition between DJ and TC. They both trash, and you don't want either one of them. How about I just want a real quarterback? I understand that, but say we get a top QB like Mendoza, but no receivers. But we have receivers. You feel me? We have receivers, though. We don't know for a fact because it's the age of NIL. Let's be under the assumption that at a minimum, we get Wheezy back and Danzy back. That's a good duo. Like, you look at this past year, we had Deuce Robinson was a 1,000-yard receiver, despite who was throwing him the football. Like, we have weapons. Pittman is a good tight end. You got weapons. You have weapons. So we have weapons, bro. We need a good QB and a good backup with that couple. We don't need 5-star receivers, but we got good receivers. We got some good receivers. We got good receivers. And let me also tell you something about a good quarterback. A good quarterback elevates players. A good quarterback elevates players. There are certain players that played with quarterback. Like, you think Dallas Clark was one of the best tight ends of all? Like, but Peyton Manning elevated Dallas Clark. Peyton Manning elevated a guy like Pierre Garçon. Hell, Peyton Manning elevated a guy like Reggie Wayne. Yeah, playing with a good quarterback elevates you. I mean, Jameis Winston turned Kenny Shaw into a 1,000-yard receiver. I ain't saying Kenny Shaw wasn't good, but Jameis Winston elevated Kelvin Benjamin into a first-round pick. Like, quarterbacks elevate. I'll take the USF quarterback over Sellers. I don't know in Gus's system. I'm not so sure about that. I know the USF quarterback can run, but Sellers is a little bit more dynamic with the legs. No, Fran Brown is turning into a joke, bro. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I don't know what's going on with Fran Brown, but he's turned into a joke. He played one good game. And then that's why you play the other 10 or 11 or whatever. Polk, we need a new strength and conditioning coach. Look at James Williams' arms. No definition. Well, James Williams didn't start his career. To be fair, and I'm not defending FSU strength and conditioning necessarily. James Williams came here a redshirt junior. James Williams played 3 or 4 years at Nebraska before he got here. That's not on FSU strength and conditioning. First of all, strength and conditioning isn't something that is fixed in a year. It takes a while to build up a body. That is on Nebraska. That is not on Florida State. Slow night in South Beach. I don't know what's going on with Buddy. Trust me, it won't be 7 in a row, dog. I can't take y'all seriously. I'm from South Florida, Zay. Y'all can fill seats, get to a conference game, or oh, he's talking about Zay in Miami, I guess. That's a stalker. I don't know what's going on with Buddy. Yeah, if I'm Deuce, there's no way. If I'm Deuce, there's no way I come back unless FSU goes up there and gets one of the top quarterbacks in the portal. Other than that, if I'm Deuce, I don't take that chance. I don't want to come back and play with the wrong quarterback and I go from 1,000 yards to 600 yards because, like, if I'm Deuce, I don't know. I don't think I come back. We need trenches. I really feel for y'all boys. Listen and buy into T2 line. Believe that you was back until he's okay. Great QBs elevate. Absolutely. We link to every high-profile transfer quarterback. Now that's been y'all's MO the last couple of years, getting getting the top quarterbacks out of the portal. I understand it's Miami, but I don't know if Miami makes the playoff, but at least for the last 2 years, it's worked. Getting some of the top quarterbacks in the portal has worked for Miami. I'm sorry, I disagree with the whole all you need is a good QB thing. The schedule's not hard. Combined with inadequate roster, especially on defense and the current coaching staff, I only see us going 5-7. If you had a proper quarterback this year, FSU at least wins 7-8 games, at least. Now, granted, I understand you can look at the Virginia game, but what about the Stanford game? What about yeah? We can agree to disagree. Quarterback position matters, dog. I don't know why we downplay that position. Ooh, Junior he just threw a pick. Duke has won the ACC. Well, he's absolutely doing that. Yeah, that's why if you're Deuce, because next year is Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Williams. If you're Deuce, you come out this year, not next year. You come out this year, 100%. Duke just won it. Yeah, there's nothing to review. That is an interception. Game over. Mario is gonna hire Manny. Manny would never work for Mario. Manny would probably never go back to Miami, obviously. The way Miami treated Manny on the way out. How does that feel, Mike? I know Miami fans, y'all may or may not care. How does it feel to have Manny Diaz win the ACC at Duke before Mario Cristobal won the ACC? Isn't that ironic as hell? POLK getting trolls like that means you're big time. I'm just a guy. That dude just has an obsession. How does that feel, though, for real Miami fan? How does it feel? How does that feel, though? Seriously, how does it feel that Manny Diaz just won the ACC in blue and white and not orange and green? Could care less because they shouldn't be in the ACC championship game. It's all BS. Hey, I know what to tell you. They're gonna say they won the ACC, like it's gonna be in their trophy case forever. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Now they blaming COVID, refs, Carson Beck's ex-girl. Can't focus on natties. John, how has that worked out for you? I mean, you can say that, and that's fair, but you're not exactly winning those either. ACC championships. Manny Diaz won, Miami 0. Kane said they shouldn't be there. You sound like you kind of care. You kind of care, Zay. You kind of care. Duke just shook up the playoff contract. So Duke, yeah. So this is actually going to be very interesting. Based on the criteria, as a Power 4 champion, Duke should be in the playoff. Does the committee keep their word on that? Or do they continue to make it up as they go? And do we get... So, because, like, here's my thing. I'm going to say something for the Miami fans. If you ask me, yeah, Miami's a better team than Duke. And they have a better record, obviously. But if I'm Duke, I can say I won the ACC. How does Miami get in over Duke? They don't. In my opinion, they can't. If that's the case, then what the hell are we playing championship games for? I don't know, man. This is going to be very interesting to watch. What y'all think? Duke sits at home. Duke just got JMU in. Canes in the college football playoff. All right, John. A damn basketball. I mean, we just watched Indiana win the Big Ten, a damn basketball school. We just watched Duke win the ACC, a damn basketball school. Yeah. You think Georgia's front runners to win the Natty? I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I don't think George. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I low key like Indiana. I'm not just saying that because I was saying this is 863 Hoosier TV now. I something about Indiana I really like. I would not sleep on Ohio State still. Talent wise, that's the most talented team in the country. Yeah. I don't know. I think the favorites, maybe those top three, right? Maybe you don't sleep on Texas Tech. I'm not that high on Texas Tech, but maybe Texas Tech is another team that you don't sleep on. What about A&M? I don't know, man. I think it's wide open. I don't think I can just flat out go Georgia wins it. Yeah. Duke doesn't have the money of FSU, UM, etc. Duke's got a lot of money. Contrary to popular belief, it just doesn't go to football. That Duke logo, especially, I mean, Duke's got more money than you think. Y'all smarter than that. Duke got 5 losses. They also are a conference champion. I don't know what to tell you, bro. I don't disagree with you, but they also are conference champions. I'm at a point now. What does these titles mean? If conference championships don't mean anything, then let's take them away. That's all I'm saying, Zay. I don't disagree with you. Again, I think Miami would beat Duke. Yeah. Hurricanes going to the playoffs. It's just not Miami. It's Carolina Hurricanes hockey team. Serious question. What championship or trophy do conferences like Conference USA, MAC, etc. play for? They play in the bowl games. They have their own conference championships, but if I'm not mistaken, but they just play in the bowl games, which is why I said I think the G5 should separate and just make their own thing. I really believe that. I would almost argue in 10 years or 20 years, have a G5 playoff Have the Power 4 or 5. I would say bring the Power 5 back personally. Have a Power 5 playoff. And the winner of each playoff can play for a real national champion. That's a perfect world. Probably may never happen that way, but that's what I think. If you really want to get the G5 involved in a meaningful way, have Conference USA, the MAC, the Mountain West, the AAC. Who am I missing? I'm probably missing my Sun Belt. Have those teams play a playoff. Have the Big 10, the Big 12, the ACC, and SEC. And if you can get the Pac 12 back, there's talks of bringing that Pac 12 back, but the caliber of teams that are being rumored for the Pac 12 might fall in the G5 category. But you get those, the big conferences, little conferences, they do their separate playoffs. And at the end of it in February, let that playoff winner, let those two brackets go, and the winner. Would anybody argue that? Because I don't. I think that's how you determine the national champion right there. And if the conference championship doesn't matter, then you do away with it. You don't care about Manny, good for him. Good. I'm glad you feel that way. Very well coached unit. They don't have the same caliber of athlete as Ohio State. Again, just watch them though. Call that man a champ. ACC champ Diaz. I agree with Pat. Zay, John, show that man some respect. That man's your ACC champion. And I'm going to say something that it might be a little controversial. I think idle teams during conference championship week should be penalized. I know Miami might not want to hear that. But I don't think, to be honest with you, I don't think Virginia should be penalized for playing in their championship game. I don't know why teams that are playing in championship games are penalized. I think that might be one of the arguments they try to use for Bama. Might be. And idle teams aren't penalized. So Virginia can get knocked out for playing in their championship game. They have an identical record as Miami, by the way. But Miami sits idle, and they're allowed to. And that's not just Miami. That goes for Notre Dame as well. A better example would be BYU. Why does BYU get penalized for playing in their championship game against a top 5 team? Well, I don't think Texas Tech was top 5. They were definitely top 10 team, Texas Tech. Why does BYU get penalized for that? And that's only their second loss of the year, by the way. They went into that game an 11-1 team. Why does BYU get penalized for playing in their championship game? But Notre Dame or Miami or all these other teams on the bubble, they sit idle and they get a boost. I don't think that's right. I don't think that's right. Canes will win it all. I think a lot of Seminole fans are sleeping on Elijah Moore. No one's sleeping on him. We're just waiting to see something from him. If we're sleeping on him, he needs to wake us up. If we're sleeping on him, then they need to wake us up. So, all right, y'all. So that's the last conference championship game. So I've been on here for two and a half. So that was actually I was on here a little longer than I thought I was going to be, but that's some good stuff. I am going to call it a night. I'm trying to get on here more often. But I appreciate y'all for coming in and kicking it with me. Duke is your ACC champion. Indiana is your Big Ten champion. That is crazy. But that Indiana Ohio State game was actually a good football game. Um, Indiana is very impressive. I don't know what's going to go happen with Duke in this college football playoff. The selection is going to be very entertaining, so y'all might want to check that out. But as always, y'all, yeah, at least the Knicks doing our thing so far this year. Shout out to the Knicks. And as always, it's your boy Polk over here on 863 Seminole TV. Y'all stay classy, Seminoles. And I'm out here. Go Noles. There's always next year for us. Yeah. Y'all have a good rest of y'all night, man.